Hello, welcome to the Mother Flutter podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Janosik. In today's episode, we are going to be speaking with Sarah Janosik. She is a licensed equine therapist and sex and relationship therapist, and it was such a pleasure to speak with her. We talk about equine therapy, we talk about trauma, we talk about healing, we talk about sex and relationships. And I'm not gonna lie, you guys, it gets pretty juicy. So I hope you enjoy today's episode. And here is my conversation with Sarah Janosik. I'm here today with Sarah Janosik. Sarah Janosik, it is so good to have you.
So nice to be here with you, Sarah. I'm so glad to be able to talk to you about these new ideas.
Such a pleasure. And for all you listening, Sarah is the co-founder of the Relate Center. It's a professional therapy practice that focuses on the role of mind, body, and emotions and how they play together in dealing with issues. She is a clinical social worker, equine therapist, and coach. Sarah was also the entrepreneur in residence at Trinity University in San Antonio, where she taught aspiring entrepreneurs to develop their business ideas. She has 40 years of experience as a licensed social worker and specializes in sex, intimacy, and couples counseling. She has recently created the Beyond Boundaries coaching program, where she'll continue her work with relationships and entrepreneurship.
That's right. It's hard to imagine that I've been doing this for such a long time and seeing how my practice has changed over time.
I can imagine. Are you willing to kind of go into your background and how you got into this work, 40 years ago, and just kind of give us a rundown of how it's evolved to where you are today?
Sure. Well, I took a class at UT on sex therapy, and I found it fascinating and thought, isn't this interesting? Because this is an area that in my family, we never talked about sex.
No.
And so that would not be a great idea. And so that was pretty interesting. And then I had to decide after I graduated about getting a specialty. And there were two programs in the U.S. to go get postgraduate training. And one was in Galveston, Texas, in family therapy. And the other was in San Francisco in sex therapy. And I was 25 and had never left home. Guess what sounded more exciting?
Probably the sex.
I got to be a professional getting my family's approval in the thing that they didn't want to talk about at all. So I got to be good and bad at the same time. It was perfect.
Win-win.
I know.
How did they react when you told them?
Well, because I was going to a medical school program, they were very impressed and horrified. But they kept the horrified down low, so they didn't let me know that too much.
So then how did you get into the equine therapy? Because that's where I met you at HorseLink. You're a facilitator there, and you have, really just, that program changed my life. You helped change my life. It's such a weird thing. I think a lot of people, don't know about it. So I do want to get into that.
Sure.
But how did that start?
Well, I just had always loved horses and had been taking some riding lessons. And I would get some feedback from my teachers that was always very, very interesting. Had this one horse that I could never make stop.
What do you mean? Oh, like when you're on it?
I'm riding this horse. And she'd say, okay, halt. And I couldn't get the horse to stop. And this is a woman who at that time seemed very old, said, does nobody take you serious when you say no?
Oh my God.
I'm like, oh my, yes. It was like this aha moment of even the horse won't listen to me.
Mm.
And just noticing how much it helped me to be around the horse and being able to learn how to connect and just how good it felt. I started bringing my clients out just for fun. So for them to get into, because a lot of people wanted to be around horses.
Now, was this before it became, this big
I was
thing?
just doing it. I just was making it up as I went at that point. And I had another college teacher who did these horseback rides. And so I got together some of my clients and we did kind of a day of horseback riding and learning about connecting and grooming. And then my dog trainer and my horse trainer both came to me and said, read this book. And it was Linda Kahana's The Tao of Equus.
I just bought that.
And I read it. In the back it said how to sign up for a workshop, and I did it. So
wow.
Again, it's just things kind of fell in place to be the right thing to do. And I went to Tucson to do the training and came back, and lucky enough to find Lynn Silver, who's another therapist and equine specialist who we've been doing workshops together, and with some of my other friends in Chicago and in New Jersey and Tucson. So it's just been a great way to take therapy outside.
Well, so I guess that's what I want to talk about too. So for people who don't know what equine therapy is, I still have a hard time explaining it, and it is not what I love about it is that it's not like cognitive behavioral therapy where you're just kind of talking about your pain and the past and the issues and kind of just like going over it and salt in the wound.
Right.
It's all about like how things are affecting you in the present and working with that.
I got to, what helped me be able to put that into words is I presented at a sex therapy conference what we were doing, because we had seen from the Horse Link workshops that people who filled out an assessment prior at the beginning of the workshop and then after, how much better they felt. And really what we're doing is facilitated learning. So there's lots of ways to do facilitated learning, but what it means is you have a concept and then people get to do it and practice it. And so they're not just learning it, they're doing it. So we would talk about why it's important to have a boundary, but then you'd have to set a boundary, right? And so setting a boundary with 1,000-pound horse is very different than, okay, I'm going to tell my boyfriend he can't do blah, 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 right? You feel it. So that kind of reality in your body, in your emotions, as well as the thoughts, all helps it come together in a different kind of way. So that's what the training is. And then horses are so good because, as you know, as predator prey, they learn to live by their emotions and what's going on around them. So they can really tell if something is inauthentic or incongruent. So again, if I'm saying, I'm going to stop my horse and my body's like freaking out because I don't really think I can do that, they're going to listen to that more than my,
your energy.
They're going to listen to my energy and all those other things about what I'm presenting versus just using the words. I can't fake it with the horse. We can fake it with each other.
Do you think it works when we fake it with each other?
I think it works, sort of.
Yeah.
But I think if it really worked, I guess I would be out of business.
So I guess what would you say is the main difference? It's because you're there working with the animal and you can do it in real time, as opposed to here's an assignment to tell your boyfriend, don't do this with the dishes or whatever.
And then you get to, because you're working usually in a small group, you get to see somebody else do it and you go, oh my God, I do that thing too. No wonder it doesn't work.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I do think that, something I was working on before I ever came to Horse Link, and I've been lucky enough to have done, a handful of workshops with you guys, but did a ton of CBT, previously, and EMDR, which EMDR is right up there with equine therapy in terms of effectiveness. And I'm not poo-pooing on CBT. I think it's great, but I think that these more embodied somatic practices have helped me make bigger strides than just talking to someone. And I'm curious, to hear what you have to say about that, just in terms of this energetic presence that horses have, because I know that those workshops helped me feel feelings that I was so cut off from years, for years, where my therapist would ask me, like, what are you feeling? She'd have to try to have me identify. And I would have no idea. I was like, I genuinely don't know, because I had built this habit of just shutting off and numbing. And for some reason, the horses just unlocked something where it allowed me to just feel things, whether they were, quote unquote, positive or negative, and move through them, as opposed to, being scared that something was going to overwhelm me and take me away. And is that, common? Have you heard that before? And what do you think that is?
Well, I think part of that is that horses' hearts generate so much more energy than ours. They can influence our nervous system more than we influence theirs. So when you have this animal that's connecting with you, it gets through a lot more.
Than just your head.
Right. Or someone just telling you. They're so powerful in their being and just what they are. So I think that makes a big difference. And I'm working right now with someone who is very connected to animals and has a lot of emotions and connection in that way, but who has a shitload, of trauma in the past that she had decided to just shut down until she had a recent new event. And the cognitive therapy has really helped her process some of the thinking about it.
Sure.
That she could access some emotions, but she couldn't get through some of these places she was stuck.
Sure.
So, I think the great thing is that we as humans have all these ways to access, and it's about putting all of that together.
Right.
So that you can understand your thoughts and feelings, you can access them, and trust how much 85% of the information we get from our brain is from our bodies up.
I've heard that.
Right now.
I've heard that.
So, it's really good for people to be able to think of what they need, what's missing in if they think about their team of, people helping them be the best person they can be. What do they need most to do?
I love that you said team and pointed out that example, because I think with me, I've always been very in my head, and, I'll try to intellectualize my emotions, and instead of feeling them like, oh, I feel this way because this happened, and, this thing in my past, and I don't feel, I'm just trying to think and so I'm an overthinker. So, for me, these embodiment practices have helped me be more balanced. But like you're saying, this woman had, access to her emotions, but maybe not, access to analyzing what was going on. And that is an important aspect too. I guess what I see in kind of the Western philosophy is a lot of top down, right?
Absolutely.
Take your meds to change your brain. And I'm not anti-meds. I know they helped a lot of people. They've helped me, but take your meds, talk it out, think about it, diagnose. It's just very,
right.
It neglects, when you say the team, the nervous system, and getting sunlight and having community and friends and exercise, and it's what you eat. It's this mental health is this whole thing, and we act like it's just our heads and thoughts.
I totally agree. Yeah, and for you to find that, to be on that journey and kind of learn those things about yourself and to be curious, to explore what other ways to access parts you don't really know how to get to, is fantastic. And, it's that curiosity, which I think is what a lot of what podcasts do for people, is help us kind of think of it, listen to new ideas and different ways of thinking about things to open up our minds.
So what would you tell somebody? Do you think that our, culture, the Western world, is shut off from our bodies and our feelings in general? And what would you say to somebody who maybe has the sense that they are shut off from their bodies and they tend to overthink? What are some ways that, they can take a step towards accessing embodiment or, somatic type healing or, making a more complete picture?
So I don't know what the statistics are in terms of our society or culture, but I can tell you when people come in to see me that most people either are stuck in how bad they feel and they're not willing to think about what they say in their heads about themselves and the world.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're so in their head and trying to analyze everything that they don't know what's going on in their body. Right? So you start to kind of see where the problems show up. So if someone is very analytic in their head, I really I have my little map here.
Mm-hmm.
So with the nervous system, helping people just start to pay attention to where they are. And this is a map on the nervous system. And are you in a sympathetic, which is a fight or flight? Are you in freeze, where you can't feel anything? Or are you in a very open place where you are available? And so, it's starting to help people think about that and feel like, can you feel your feet? And then just seeing what people are open to. Can come to a horse workshop, or what can you do outside, or how much do you play with animals?
Yeah.
What are the things that you do to help you kind of be more balanced in yourself?
I love that. And I guess I'm wondering too, how did you come to incorporate somatic work in your practice? Did it start with the horses when you were kind of DIYing it? Or did they talk about this when you were in school? Or was it more focused on?
So after I did my initial training, I had a mentor, a woman named Deborah Marshall, who's in Canada actually, who had done the somatic experiencing training and told me she thought I should do it. And then I had met up with Lynn, who had also done the somatic training and encouraged me because...
And this is different than the horse. It's just called somatic experience training.
Somatic experiencing is learning how to use your nervous system to help people heal from trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Levine developed it. He's written a lot of books and done a lot of work around helping people process trauma. And so because I have a specialty in sex therapy, and that how much that being around horses help people feel, just feel really with your fingers, feeling the skin and noticing what that's like as well as their emotions, that it was a component that made a lot of sense to really try to bring in more knowledge around the nervous system and how to access it and how to help people change. So we do the horse work that I learned is doing different kind of exercises to teach how to connect, how to lead, how to set a boundary, how to be on a team, how to focus, how to know what's going on in your body. And then with the somatic work of really helping to sort through where so there's difference in equine learning, which is the things I just mentioned, versus equine therapy, right? So if you were doing equine therapy, you start to recognize some kind of a trigger point, and you would do more of the work, the somatic work.
Versus
explain it, versus keeping it more on a not superficial, because you didn't feel like it was superficial at Horselink, right?
No, not at all.
But we didn't go into each person's history or trauma,
which I found great.
Right, because it's a different kind of experience of helping you kind of break away from that. But then if someone was going to come to me, if you're going to come to me, one of your goals might be, why do I have trouble being in my head? Right, and so we might have some ways that we work with the horses and work around the somatic work to get to where a stuck place is that's connected to something in your past.
I'm realizing that I had done so much talk therapy leading up to HorseLink that I was just like ready to not talk. It was like,
yeah, that's because you've done that piece.
Yeah, I talked about the issues. I was sick of talking about the issues, and I just wanted things to shift, which I read The Body Keeps the Score for the first time last year. Bessel van der Kolk.
Yeah, I think so. I looked at the office. I don't know for sure.
But it blew my mind. Like every chapter I read, I was just like, oh my God, this is why this is happening. And just like, oh my God, I'm not alone. And I think, people hear trauma is stored in the body. And I think that is confusing for people. And it's so confusing for me. And, can you just comment on, what that means to you, how that trauma is stored in the body?
Well, I think what it means to me is that when we get into when we get upset, or when we get shut down,
like fight or flight, freeze.
When we get into the dorsal or the sympathetic vagal system, we our bodies would get protective.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of keep us, it kind of keeps us from feeling so active as a protection. And I don't know exactly how it all works at all, but I do know that that people, I don't even know how to say this, but because I haven't, but that we just, let me just look here.
So the sympathetic...
When we're really shut down, it's a physical thing, or if we're really activated. So it's in our body, it's in our response, and some people hold it in certain kind of painful places and feel pain and different or memories. And I think it's fascinating, and I think there's so much more than I understand about it, but I do know that it's true. That's a terrible statement.
No, it's not.
I don't know really how to describe that because I'm just don't feel like I have all the analytic pieces to describe it.
The research is out there, and I think there's more to come. And, in my experience, I didn't even realize it was in my body. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But at, HorseLink specifically, you guys do that intake form when you get there. And it's like, is your heart pounding? Do you have blurry vision, shortness of breath, all these things? And then you do it at the end, and you realize how much... the physical sensations you were experiencing from, 4 hours ago to now have changed in term, and, me and everybody else that I've ever worked with there has had, crazy, it's like it feels like you take a Xanax, but there's no drugs. It's like the horses just calm you down and make you feel more at ease and better in this experience. And I know that I didn't even realize like how much, anxiety and tension and the way that I held my body and things like that until I started doing this kind of work.
Yeah. And that's a great description of how we, in the present moment, can be, our bodies are reacting to how we're feeling. But it's also that I was talking with a client earlier today who was starting to understand that some of her knee pain and her hip, she had back pain when she was a little girl. Her brother left home and she was left with the parents. Or, that different, you also can get different kind of symptoms because of trauma that's happened to you that still kind of hold on.
Definitely.
Right. So I think that's part of what the Body Keeps the Score is talking about, is you may not realize how much there's something going on in your body that's related to some past trauma.
Absolutely. I started working with a chiropractor and doing more massage in the last few years, and like myofascial release on my own at home, and it feels like it's going to take, 10 years to unwind some of this stuff. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily trauma, but I do think I've heard the term, we hold our issues in our tissues.
Yeah.
And I think that that's true, and also just like really neglected.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you too, are physical ailments manifestations of emotional issues? Do you think that is?
I think there's always a combination.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say that because, I think unfortunately there have been a lot of people have been made to feel guilty because they made themselves get cancer.
Ooh, totally.
Right? So I don't believe that.
Totally.
But I think certainly how we live our life can set us up for a healthier life or not, or make us more vulnerable to things.
Yeah. I do have one example. I had a wart on the bottom of my foot for like years, and I couldn't get rid of it. And I tried all these medicines and went to the doctor and, tried a million things. And I had started, looking up like what's the emotional meaning of like a plantar's wart. Yeah. And it was like anger and resentment or something. And at the time I was waiting tables, and there was this bartender who he would say just like really inappropriate things to all the women, and like he made us all uncomfortable, and I would just not say anything and kind of like bottle it up, and I would get so frustrated and mad. And I finally told him one day, just like, hey, you know what? Like, don't say this to me. Like, it's making me really uncomfortable. Also, like, you're making X, Y, and Z uncomfortable as well. Like, we've all discussed this. So if you can please stop doing, X, Y, and Z, that would be great. Like, we really want to have you on the team. And I just said it in a very like matter-of-fact way. Mm-hmm. And here's how we can all like
get along.
Yes.
Yeah, this fine.
And I swear to God, the wart disappeared in like a week or two.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. And I had like stopped, I gave up on the meds, I gave up on, but it was like I had this anger, and I finally just set a boundary with somebody, and it went away.
Yeah. So yes, our physical body takes on these things in such interesting ways.
Definitely. So let's get to the juicy stuff. You specialize in sex and intimacy and sexual issues, which I'm excited to talk to you about because I think it's very taboo. Like nobody wants to talk about their sex issues and, whether it's past trauma or, issues they're having with their partner. So what are the common challenges, people face? I guess my hope is that people can hear this and feel less alone or less weird in whatever they're experiencing. And,
there was a study maybe done 10 years ago now, but that found that 43% of happily married women mm-hmm. had a sexual problem.
Wow.
So, and I think it was 31% of men. But they were looking at people who considered themselves happy, still had sexual problems. Sexual problems are because we can't talk about it, mm-hmm. and we don't have very much information about it, and now we're making it illegal to talk to children about it in our schools. It's harder and harder for people to get the information they need. Mm-hmm. And, information, sex is a human right. Mm-hmm. And having information is a normal human right. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like it's been really important to support people in doing that. My training has come more through the medical field. So it's also easier for people to come to me because their doctors sent me. Right? So it's easier. It's when people would much rather think they have a medical reason for a problem than because of how they were raised.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or because of how they're being there. But I can help people kind of get them both, get information as well as kind of open them up to kind of be aware of how they think and feel about the situation can make it worse. Did I answer the question?
Well, yeah, I'm wondering what are some common issues that come up. I've heard erectile dysfunction is on the rise in young men. I know that history of sexual trauma. We were talking about the statistic: 1 in 4 women has experienced sexual assault or sexual abuse. Childhood sexual abuse is extremely taboo, and people don't want to talk about that. So, what are like some common issues that you
deal with?
Yeah.
Sure. So certainly on the medical side, the main reason women come in is because they have low desire for having sex. They used to want it and feel turned on, and now they don't know, and they want to fix it, or they can't have an orgasm. So those are those two things. We also have physical therapists at my office.
Sorry, is it they were never really able to have an orgasm, or they just stopped being able to?
Never able to.
Wow.
Don't know.
And what ages do you see that?
Well, I see
a range.
I see teens.
Okay.
Teens education, but till 80. I had an 84-year-old woman who couldn't have an orgasm and wanted to start having orgasms with her boyfriend.
So her whole life she went never having an orgasm?
I know, isn't that sad?
That's insane.
I know. So certainly that's a lot of what we see, but also then we usually find out, often people come in because they have the sexual concern, but then they're able to then be able to connect the dots that they've had some kind of sexual abuse or sexual trauma.
Is that usually what it is?
Because they know they've had abuse and their sex life isn't working. Usually they know that there's some connection, and there's often some connection between a sexual problem that someone comes in to see me for, right? I'm not saying, because I think that more and more physicians and there's more and more information than we've ever had that can be available to people. Yeah. It's funny, it's being, if we take the politics out and just we know so much more now, and it is more available for people to learn about themselves and normalize things.
So do you think that, take the 80-year-old woman, for example, or somebody like her, do you think that is an issue of past with sexual trauma? And maybe, because I would assume that she wouldn't have even, attempted it herself, which is kind of wild to me, because you can just be alone with yourself. So that would tell me that just even her touching herself triggers some discomfort or something.
Generally, most of us as women, at least in my generation, but I think many, we learn that society teaches us. In fact, Cindy Meston, who's a sex researcher, said it great, that it's a biohazard zone. Don't touch down there.
Really?
Don't. You shouldn't, not till you're married, but then if you're married, not even that kind of a girl. So many negative messages about
masturbation?
And being sexual. Yes. And so, I think that then the message also is that we're trained that the partner is going to be the good lover and take care of us. So, but not, what do I feel? What do I like? How does my body work?
I'm just going to trust that they're going to mind read.
Yeah. And then guess what? It doesn't work very well. But I think that is more what happens to most people. And then we have sex. Like Cindy talked about, there are 237 reasons they found why women are having sex.
Yeah.
Which is, sometimes it's because I'm bored, because I feel sorry for him.
Oh my God. I'd love to see that list.
Yeah, it's a great book. Why Women Have Sex is her book, Cindy Meston.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were you going to say something?
There's not a podcast, but it's a YouTube about her talk. That's really good. You should read it. Listen to it. It's really good.
I wrote down her name because you said she's at UT, right?
Yeah.
So going back to kind of, the taboo nature, people don't want to talk about this. What do you think the root of this is? Like, why is it so shameful? Why are we so secretive? Do you think this is the U.S. specifically, or, I know we don't have to get into politics, but like, why?
I think our society, certainly the U.S., the Western culture, it's something. It's a way to keep women disempowered. It's cultural. It's religious. There are a lot of reasons why people have taught us as women to be disconnected from our physical body. If you look at patriarchy, there's lots of reasons around this. But I think it's a time where the younger women, your generation and younger women than you, aren't buying in.
Mm-hmm.
And don't care in the same ways about, are you gay or straight or all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think I'm hoping that it's going to die out as all this old kind of beliefs. Well, but you never know, because we have this other thing happening in our world. So I don't know, but that was a long, windy answer.
No, I wanted, first I wanted to check on time. We're at 2:30, and do we have another 15 or so? Okay. So I love that you said, shaming is a way to disempower women. And this makes me think of, I know we were talking about the witch trials earlier, but can you talk more about that? Like, how does that disempower women, and what is the benefit of doing that? Like, why would the, powers that be want to disempower women in your opinion?
Let me see if I can make that more like my experience as a therapist.
Yeah.
So, I think that there is a very strong belief in this culture that women should have sex when men want to, when their partners want them to.
Mm-hmm.
And that if they're not doing it, there's something wrong with the woman.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're having a problem, if they're not doing this, having this, at least more of what their partner wants them to have.
Mm-hmm.
So many women come in saying, I need to change this because my partner isn't happy with me and might leave me or divorce me unless I do this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's an experience that I've heard over and over again from women. Some women, and a lot of what we have to do is be able to, in fact, now even at the doctor's office, most doctors ask, is this a distress? Are you distressed about it, or is your partner distressed about it? So it's helping people start to see whose problem it really is. So, I might be fine about how often I'm having sex, but the partner's really unhappy with it. And so that's a different kind of, then it's a couple's problem.
Mm-hmm.
About how do you work that out versus the one person. But often the women are the ones who feel that women are the main people going to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they're the ones that have to change it, because often it's, they can't afford to live by themselves, or they have kids, or there may be financial reasons as well as emotional reasons why they want the marriage or the relationship to continue.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just heterosexual couples; it's gay couples too that have these problems.
I was going to ask, do you see many men, or is it mostly women that come?
I see men and women, because a lot of men, especially prior to Viagra, they didn't have as many options.
Mm-hmm.
But I also, what Viagra has done is bring in more couples, because now the women who thought they were off the hook didn't have to have sex with some of their old partners, and now their partners are wanting to have sex and they have to figure it out again.
I heard women can take Viagra and it has a similar effect.
Well, it does have the same physiological effect. It affects us. It's about blood flow, but it doesn't do the same things because Cindy talks about this in our talk as well. Because we don't. That is not what tells us we want to have sex in the same way it does for men. It gives them an erection. Mm-hmm. And what it does is putting more blood flow in our genitals. Mm-hmm. But if we're not feeling close to our partner, if we're not in the right mood,
mm-hmm. It's more emotional.
It's emotional and physical. It's emotions, physical, and thinking, feeling, sensations. All three have to be together for women. So, we in 2000, there's a woman named Rosemary Basson who really put together a new way for us to look at how women get what the sexual cycle is for women, and it's a very different one than we have always assigned. We've always used the male. Men have always been researching men until about 2000.
Right.
So that system looked at, there is a very linear kind of way. Am I getting too much off?
No.
Okay, is that where you have desire, you get aroused, you have an orgasm, and then you have a chance to recover so that you can do it again. Mm-hmm. But it's a very linear process. And what Rosemary Basson suggested is that it's a more cyclical process for women, where most women start out neutral and they're feeling close to their partner, and their partner says, let's have sex. And we say, oh, okay. And we try to get in the mood. We try to get there, and it takes a while to get there so that we work at, and sometimes that's easy and sometimes it's really hard, depending on feeling, thinking, sensation. I'm distracted. Got to go to bed early because I have something in the morning. I'm still mad at that thing you said to me last night.
Oh, God.
Right? All that stuff. The average woman takes, how long do you think the average woman takes to have an orgasm?
50. Well, I mean, it depends on who's doing what. For herself, 5-10 minutes. If she's doing what she likes, if it's with a partner and she's not explaining what she likes, maybe 40 minutes to never.
Well, certainly with a vibrator, you can make it happen much faster. But generally, for most women, it's 15 to 30 minutes of stimulation.
Okay.
For men?
With a partner? Mm-hmm. For men, 5 minutes, 2 minutes.
2 to 6.
2 to 6.
So we usually think there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
I'm taking too long.
So ladies first, guys, if you're listening. Ladies first.
That's kind of awful, but I think that's really important. We get stuck at that first part and then start to get aroused and then have desire. So the first step for women generally is desire. Oh, this just feels kind of good. I think I would want to do this. And then she doesn't even say orgasm. She says satisfaction, sexual satisfaction. So maybe that's an orgasm, or let's have intercourse, but I'm not going to know it's okay with me. Mm-hmm. Different than how men's bodies work and feel, because it's much more focused on the orgasm, on the erection and orgasm.
I kind of feel like that's a cop-out. Like, I don't know. I feel like women should come every time, too.
Women don't want to always come every time.
That's okay. I guess maybe I have more of a male brain in this way.
Yeah. Well, if you talk to enough women, let me tell you, after 40 years, some women really are like, it's too much work tonight. I'd rather go to sleep so I can get up in the morning.
Because it just takes too long for them. Mm-hmm. Because there's too much in the head, or there's just too many factors, and
I'm really doing it for you tonight. It's really fine with me.
Yeah.
237 reasons. Right. So, but if we get to make the choice, I'm getting what I want out of this in this experience. The next time that my partner wants to have sex, I'm going to be more into it because the experience was good.
And you've had autonomy, and you've been listened to and respected, and
Yeah.
So what do you say to couples where that sex drive is so different? The women are, they don't want it, and the guy's got Viagra, and he's like, let's go. And
Or the women want it and the guys aren't interested, because it goes both ways.
Sure. So what, so what does do they break up? Does one partner get, hall pass, or?
Well, we kind of look at the whole picture, which is why it's complicated, right? Because we have to, the research says that, we have to look at it medically, physically. So that's where PT or some kind of physical work to understand, do you know how to even access your body? Do you know how your body works? Can you feel a sensation? Is there any kind of blockage? Do you have pain? Right? So it's the physical, and then the sex therapy, the emotional. What are there things in your past that are holding you back? Messages from your family, something going on currently. But you have to look at that whole thing, and we see what we can do.
What can people do to kind of, if they're having issues, what's the first step?
Well, if there's any thought that it could be medical, we should check that out first.
Like pain,
lack from men, lack of interest,
lack of erection, lack of lubrication,
yes. Yeah. So you always want to make sure there's not a medical reason for the problem. And, that can be true for women, especially around pain. It could be, some kind of a tumor or something, it could be something really that should be paid attention to. So that's always the first thing. Talk to your doctor about that.
Yeah.
And then, there are good therapists and physicians will help you figure out where you need to go, because sometimes it takes some time to get to the right person, right? So your physician may send you to a therapist who's not a sex therapist. You might actually need sex therapists, and that therapist has to send you. So it takes time to get clear about what is actually the problem.
Yeah.
And identifying who can help.
Yes.
Like I bet you didn't get to EMDR first, and I know you didn't get to us first.
No, EMDR, I didn't. It was in the pandemic, I started doing virtual therapy, and I was explaining this thing that would happen to me, and this therapist was just like, "Hon, you have PTSD." And I was like, what? I didn't even know what that was. I was like, that's something veterans have, And then I looked it up, and I was like, oh my God, I have PTSD, because I would lash out and have these reactions that were way oversized at strangers, and then immediately after it happened, I would be so embarrassed about how I had behaved, and just God,
where did that come from?
Yeah, or why can't I control myself? I wasn't even at the where did that come from really, but we started doing EMDR, and I swear to God, within 2 to 4 weeks, I never had one of those outbursts again. And I continued doing it for other things that, affected me viscerally, but it was like magic. It was so crazy. And we did it virtually.
Oh, that's amazing. Have you heard about this? I think it's called Flash EMDR or something.
No.
One of my colleagues in San Francisco had a video on it. It's like they're flashing it, and they make you go through something really fast.
Whoa.
Yeah. It was pretty intense.
It is intense. It's you need to kind of plan the next day and the rest of the day. But it's been really effective.
That's great.
I want to wrap up and be respectful of your time. I have 2 more questions, if that's okay.
Sure.
So what
I don't know if everyone's going to listen this long, but go for it, girl.
Oh, I'm trusting that we are just riveting enough for people to hang on, the right people. What are the most beneficial tools that you found for yourself or your clients in your healing journey? Just meditate. It can be anything from, meditation to a healthy relationship. Oh, there's one question I didn't get to, but
that's all right. You can ask it too.
Yeah, I want to.
My animals are my main healing. My horse and my dogs. I have these 3 standard poodles here, that go to the office, and they are so, for me as well. Oh, I think she sees a squirrel.
She's a cutie pie.
Mm-hmm. I find being able to have friends I can trust, that I can say the things I'm afraid of.
Yeah.
And, sometimes it takes people being in a therapeutic relationship to learn to have a safe person for the first time, because they've never had a safe person.
Yeah.
Well, so, that's just being able to really build a relationship that's safe.
Mm-hmm.
However you do that, or if you're in your relationship. But I think safety, it all has to start with safety.
Yeah.
In our bodies, understanding that the nervous system, that until we experience that physiologically, you can't settle. So I can't meditate if I don't feel safe.
Animals help.
Yeah.
The question I didn't get to, but I remember at HorseLink, you told me that you deliberately waited a year to say I love you with your now wife.
Yeah.
And I just want to kind of hear that story. And, we've talked about codependency and why did you wait? What is this tendency to lose ourselves and get lost in relationships? And what do we do about it if we are one of those people?
Okay. So for me, I tend to jump in too quickly, and I'm very extroverted and love connecting with people, and sometimes take that to mean more than it actually is. And so I have fallen in love with the wrong people several times. I've been married twice. So I had just made a rule about not me enjoying the feeling, but not taking it to mean something yet. So I didn't have to get married to that person to be able to enjoy that, but needed enough time. And I had a mentor once who said that he felt it took about a year for us to get to know someone well enough to understand where our different hurt parts could work it out together.
Right.
Because, we knew we could work out the good parts, but, you want to make sure your issues and their issues were compatible.
Yeah.
Of us, like the little people parts.
Yeah, I think so. So feeling the love and allowing yourself to feel love without saying it, because that can complicate things and, maybe create a commitment where you're not ready because you don't know if your baggage matches their baggage yet.
And I would say to Anne, I think I'm in love with you, but I'm really want to make sure this will work. So I'm not going to jump in too fast. Especially women are really bad about jumping in too quickly. And, there are a lot of jokes about lesbians.
U-Haul with something. Yeah. That's so funny. Well, I want to set you free here. There's a million other questions I want to ask you, but we can wrap it up. You are moved. Yes.
So we can practice a Zoom one. We can do that.
Well, yes. So we will do one on Zoom. You are moving from Austin to New Jersey.
To the Jersey Shore to really get to be at a beautiful place and do workshops with the horses, being 10 minutes from the ocean. And just some beautiful new experiences. That'll be great. And great adventure.
So for people who want to look you up and find you and maybe work with you, where can they find you? How can they look you up or contact you?
Good question. So beyondboundariescoaching.net is my website, and it's .net, not .com, which is unfortunate, but it was taken. And I'll be doing virtual coaching. And we'll be doing in-person horse, incredible, fantastic workshops in Cape May, New Jersey. So
awesome.
We're going to be doing some things for professional women, for couples, some entrepreneur stuff, and really putting together some programs to help people play and learn together.
And your podcast
is also on beyondboundaries.net. Coaching.net. Yeah.
Beyondboundariescoaching.net.
And our first series is Chronicles of a Sex Therapist, where there are people that I have met who have been healers in their different ways. Our first one is a 72-year-old sex coach and surrogate.
Whoa.
Who has a one-woman show called Naked at My Age. It was fantastic. Started being a sex escort when she was 52.
Oh my God, that sounds juicy.
Yeah, it's fun.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah. I adore you, and I just really appreciate the work you do. And yeah, thanks for chatting with me.
No, you're welcome, Sarah. I feel like we felt it from the beard. I felt it with you right away.
Yeah, totally.
It was like,
yeah. And after some personal conversations, now we know why.
Right.
The trauma in me sees the trauma in you, and the light in you, of course.
Yeah.
All right. Till next time on Zoom. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode with Sarah Janosik. And if you want to submit a question for the Mother Flutter podcast or suggest a guest or topic for the podcast, send me a DM on Instagram. I am at Sarah Sawakis. Have a lovely day, and we will see you next time.